Hi, this is George Loker with Exploring Careers in the College and Career Readiness. We have started the ICEV lesson system, and this video will cover the registration and startup instructions, including the registration codes. If you have never used ICEV, you will need to create an account and use one of the codes for my class. From your classroom assignment, click on the ICEV registration, click on the instruction page. That will open this separate document. My recommendation is to open windows in tabs into a separate window so that you may follow the directions in one window. And this is going to be very important as far as following the lessons and taking the different assessments and activities. So whether you're on a Chromebook or a laptop, I'm going to restore down in the upper right hand corner. So this is a Windows 10 instruction, so you may want to do something similar as well. So I've restored down so that the window does not take up the entire screen. So by shrinking the size of the window, I now can have two windows open at the same time. So across the top are my tabs, and when I click the link here, it's going to open up in a new tab. And it's very difficult to go back and forth from instructions to what you're trying to work on. So when it opens up in a new tab, and I've seen several student computers and you have a lot of tabs open. So my recommendation is you go from one class to another class is go ahead and close up all the extra tabs that you don't need. Okay, so even though I've made that recommendation, yes, I do have a bunch of tabs open. So just close up the ones you don't need, and especially if you have two of the exact same tab open. Now once I have the instructions here and the registration page, I'm going to pull this tab off and I'm going to park it over here on the right side. But the problem is if you're not real familiar with Windows 10, when you pull a window tab off, it may bounce to full size like you see right here. So when you first pull a tab off, let me show you that action again. If I click the tab, if I'm full screen and I click the center icon right here, there's three icons in the upper right hand corner. Now Chrome is a little bit different but similar still. Macintosh or Apple computers are similar again. There's a little difference in their icons are in the upper left hand corner and they're color coded, but the idea is the same. The left icon minimizes it completely. Well, that just hit it, so let me go ahead and bring that back up. So the second icon, or the middle icon, is a multi-purpose icon, and it depends on where you are. If you have clicked it once and you're full size, the next time you click, it resizes the window down to a smaller state. So if I make the window small and I click the restore, it goes full size, and then when I click it again, it goes small again. So that's a pretty useful little icon right there. Now you don't want to click the X because that'll just close all your windows up unless you intend to. If you click the X on a window that has lots of tabs open, it may or may not warn you, and it may accidentally close all your windows open. So be careful with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move this window around until I have it filling the screen so that I've got the instructions on the left side and the My ICEV registration page on the right side. So the two windows can be resized as necessary. If you need your instructions to be a little smaller, you can pull the instruction size over and you can make the registration side a little bit bigger. So you can play around with that and come up with a nice touch that fits your screen. Alright, so we're going to come over here and we're going to go ahead and create a new account. Now, as you're going through this step, go a little bit further down to go ahead and get the registration codes. I did put the codes lower down because I wanted you to concentrate on the instructions, and then if you need the codes, you go a little bit further. So most importantly, if you have an account with ICEV in another class. Do not create another account. That's my reason for kind of hiding the registration codes a little bit lower down, because I want you to pause and make sure you don't already have an account. If you have an account, you're going to click on Log In the upper right hand corner. Log in. You can try logging in with Google and see if you got your BISD credentials in, or you can log in with your account that you remember from your username and password. And so barring that, we're going to go ahead and go back to the register. And I'm going to assume that you don't have an account, so we're going to go down here and get the registration code. Now, there's nothing wrong with copying and pasting, but the problem is when you do that, sometimes you get a space at the end of it. Now, there is a bit of a nuance here. Fourth period is 04, but sixth period is 05. I don't have any control over the codes, so please pay very close attention. I've had to move quite a few students. Sixth period is 05 at the end, has a 5 at the end. Seventh period has 6, and eighth period has 7. So let's make sure we get that code correctly. So let's say you're in first period. We're going to double click, or you can click and drag across. Either way, it's the same results. And we're going to right click and we're going to copy. And we're going to go over here and we're going to paste. Now, I've had at least one person end up, when they paste, have a space at the end. It is not your fault. It is not uncommon for the computer to put a space at the end of the copy and paste. So just be aware of it. It'll happen from time to time in the future. So just make sure that the code is only the code and there's no space at the end of it. All right, so your first and last name, make sure you capitalize your first and last name, please. Don't not use the shift key, and go ahead and use the opposite shift key to do a capital letter. So if you're going to do a capital G, you would hold down the right shift key and go ahead and do your capital letters. And of course, if you have used your computer for any length of time, it looks like this form, that's what this is right here, just like your attendance form, this is a form, and you're filling out data. So when you get to the username, please use your first and last name as your username. Please do not use your ID number. You may need to use a number at the end. Let's say you're 007, or let's say you want to use your birth year, or maybe just let's say you were born in 08, you could just do 08. So if you try at first and do not succeed with just George Loker or your name, don't put my name, put your name. My gosh, let me definitely make sure I'm clear on that. Put your name first and last. Right there. Okay, so your password does have to be a certain length. So if you don't get through the little password check system, all of these fields in a form, these are called fields, are required. So you have to make sure that you get it in right, or the registration won't work. So if you don't select a forgot password question, you will not be able to complete the registration. So you'll go ahead and type in the answer to your question. That will help you reset your password and make sure that your passwords match. So if you don't type in the password exactly, that'll be another area that this falls apart and does not work, fails, and would appear that you cannot register. Okay, so once you're done, I can't click submit. I can't create this account to follow through the rest of the way, but double check that your registration code is correct. Make sure your first and last name is correct. Capitalize, please. Make sure you use your first, your last name, and use a number at the end if at first it does not succeed. And then go ahead and finish with a password, and you're ready to go ahead and click the button for submit. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward on in to having logged in. So I'm going to log in with my BISD credentials, which is called a Google Single Sign-On SSO. And when you click on that, you'll see it several times across many other types of platforms. It may also be possible to log in with Clever. The most important thing is whatever you do to get registered is to do the same thing again. To get logged in, check to make sure you don't already have an account and use the same account that you use every time. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to sign in with Google, and I'm going to choose my BISD account. And you'll see that I have 5 career classes. You're only going to see one course. So over here, what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to go ahead and right-click on my first lesson. I'm going to go ahead and go to Career, First Period, and you will see a list of all of the lessons. There are approximately 44 lessons that you will complete this semester. This is self-paced, but you are to complete approximately 1 lesson per day. Some of the lessons are a little bit longer, and it's okay if you take 2 to 3 days on some of the longer lessons, especially with the first lesson that we're just getting started. Last week was the start of this, and you really needed to finish the first lesson and into the introduction to career clusters and the career cluster inventory. But don't worry if you haven't gotten that far. As we get into this and you get caught up, you'll find that it's actually quite easy to make a lot of pace and make up for lost time, and you'll end up with extra time. So don't be overwhelmed if you feel like you haven't finished even the first lesson yet. As you get rolling with it and get used to it, you'll get to making better speed with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do my little trick of having 2 windows open again. I'm going to minimize the instructions over there. Now you can pull them back up and we can go look at what our instructions are right here. But each day you don't go back to the registration. You go to the ICEV Login, which is login.icevonline.com. Here's the link. Bookmark it so you don't have to keep coming back to this website. And you'll start there each day. So let's close this up and see what that looks like. You've already registered. It's day 2. You're ready to start work for the day and knock out one of those lessons. So we're going to click on this link. Either one will take you to the same place. And there it is. It's opened up in a new tab. You might have to log in if it's been more than a day since you've logged in before. It does require a daily login. But if you've been there already today, it already remembers your login. So I'm going to pull this tab off. Now here's where the trick comes in that I wanted to make sure everybody knows. I'm going to click that link again so that I end up with 2 windows that look exactly the same. So over here on the left side, I'm going to open up the lesson, and on the right side, I'm going to open up the lesson. Now the difference is going to be on the left side, I'm going to play the slideshow. It may also be a video for different lessons. Some of them have videos and some of them have slideshows. So I'm going to step through, and this is one of those types of things that you get out what you put into it. If you just sit here and flip through the slides really quick, you're not going to get much out of it. But review the slides, look at the information. You can click on the full size screen window, and it may go full size. I've clicked it a few times before earlier today. I didn't know why it wouldn't go full screen. You may have more success with that. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and open the first activity. Now you won't see printable, that's just for the teacher right there. You're going to see interactive. Now all that you see in the interactive are there for you to complete. These are the interactive activities in the self-paced program of the ICEV lesson system. So you're going to complete all activities and all assessments. They're very quick. You may spend 5 to 10 minutes on each one. We're going to click on that first one, and in this particular lesson, the formulas for career success, there are 4 activities and 4 assessments. Now other lessons, and you can open up the entire lesson list and see the complete list. There are 4 activities and 4 assessments. But some of them only have 2 activities and 1 assessment, or 4 activities and 0 assessments, or 1 activity and 1 assessment. So that's how you read this column E right here. Now, don't worry about that. I don't want you to get confused by that. I'm just showing you that this lesson list right here is exactly the same as the lesson list that you'll see listed out here underneath the first period. So what you see down this list is what the ICEV system is going to take you through during the course of this semester. These are all 44 lessons right here. Ideally, you want to complete them in the scope and sequence. That means the order in which they're being presented to you. So the first one to complete is the formulas for career success, and then introduction to career clusters and career cluster interest inventory. Before you start learning about House Bill 5, before you learn about each of the clusters and the endorsements, we need to understand what is House Bill 5 and the impact on you. So that's why that one's right up there at the 4th lesson for you to do before you get involved in learning about the different endorsements. So what we want to do is go ahead and go back into the activity. We're going to click on View, and we're going to go ahead and restart the lesson where we left off. And we're going to go ahead and open up the first activity over here on the right-hand side. And it's asking me if I want to continue or start over because I've already been in this particular part of the lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Over. So the questions are presented to you with a timeline down at the bottom for you to advance through the questions. Now, a lot of these questions are going to be pretty common sense. And I'll go ahead and tell you, because it's in the instructions over here, if you don't pass the activity or assessment the first time, you do need to make an 80 or better. But at the end, it's going to show you the answers. And you can retake the test as often as you need to get your score to an 80. So it is important that you pass each one, but if you don't pass the first time, you can take it again. All right, so let's go back over here to where we have the slides running and over here where we have the assessment going. So actually, this is the activity. So choosing a career path is one of the most difficult and important decisions of any individual's life. It is normal to be consideration or unsure are the 2 questions. So if you don't want to just guess at the answer, you could go over here and there it is right there. It is normal to be unsure about the future. All right, and then it says requires careful consideration or unsure. Well, we already used unsure up there, so it's probably going to be the opposite. But there it is right there. Requires careful consideration of many factors. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And then we're going to click Next. Now the next question has 2 answers to fill in. When choosing a career path, interest and skills, you should include interest and skills. And the first one is asking, should you consider work-life balance or environment balance? Well, if you don't know the answer, here's the next slide is for this exact activity right here, factors to consider. So look for the keywords that you're looking for, flip through the slides, look for the questions being answered in the slide material or the video. Work-life balance, there it is. And a little bit further down, we see work environment. So when choosing a career path, the things that you want to include interest and skills, work-life balance, job outlook, work environment, amount of interaction, what's the pay, and what are the benefits. Benefits include like health insurance and retirement. So the things that you are going to learn about are going to pace you through this. And you'll notice that just a second ago it came up on the screen and said auto-saved. So if you need to leave the activity, do go ahead and go to the next slide, and then you can leave. So I wouldn't leave in the middle of one that you have already finished. Go ahead and you always get to the next slide, and then you can pick back up wherever you left off if you're not able to finish an activity or an assessment all in one session. Okay, so when you're done, you'll actually go back to your course up here at the top, and you can check your progress and see your grades through the ICEV portal of My Courses, and redo any tests that need to be redone. I can't go there now because you'll see everybody's score report in the roster, but you'll be able to see your progress. Grades will be taken straight from My ICEV and put in directly into Teams. That's the student self-serve and parent self-serve. But because the system is expecting you to have had an 80 or better, the grades that I'm going to be recording are either going to be a 0 or an 80. So make sure you keep up and keep working daily to make progress on the individual lessons. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll see you on the next Zoom session, or you can also send your questions to the after-hour support line where the questions are posted and I can answer them for everybody to be able to see. All right, hope this helps, and we'll see you back on the next Zoom.